Good afternoon, comrades. This is Jamala, also known as Brother Soldier. It's good to be with you again for another day. Today, I wanted to say a little bit more about leadership, responsibility that we have to each other, and moving forward in a life and in a world that seems to grow colder and colder as the days go on. Um, Lots of thoughts. I've been giving a lot of thought and consideration into the various topics that we could all talk about. There's so many things we could talk about. Sometimes you have to prioritize the priorities to see to it that you're not wasting your time and that you're getting the most important things out to the people and moving on from there. So today, I want to kind of piggyback on the leadership issues that we have in the world today, with leaders are bowing to Satan and they're not seeming to see that there's no repercussions for those type of decisions. The beautiful thing about having a book in the world that we would consider divine or above the human ability to reason and comprehend why people do the things that they do when they are right. Why would people turn the other cheek? Why would people love those that hate them? Those things are divine. We're not saying that you can, at every point, say that's the thing to do in every situation, but we know that there's a divine message behind that. And on the other hand, we know that there's that same God deals justly, that he punishes the wicked, he rewards the righteous. So we know that one type of divine behavior is not independent of righteousness, punishment, and just to those that do evil. So we know this. That's what makes the whole world this and a lot of other things. So we're going to move on about these leaders. We talked about the leaders last time, and that what is their responsibility when the people go wrong? Are they supposed to help us stir right and love nature? And when I say nature, those things that are natural, the way the earth brings forth flowers, brings forth fruit for people to eat, brings forth vegetables, brings forth different things that we eat like meat. We're to be the caretakers and the stewards of this. So if we go out and pollute the environment, we go out and kill off all the nice species, we begin to become anti-life instead of pro-life. Refusing to reproduce, marrying the same sex, this how can there be life? How can there be pro-life? And so you think about the leaders, instead of just allowing people to live the way they want to live and then keep some kind of law and order, you begin to start changing the laws to accommodate those who would be classified as deviant. Then you're getting yourself into something that you become now part of the problem. And like I said, you have all these people out here, whether they're religious or not, that try to do right by the law, they try to do right by their neighbor, whether they know God or not. And now you have those people at unrest, and now they're beginning to push back against the system and push back against the world because of the way that things are going. And they're now becoming more believers that there's a God when these things start happening. So when you start waking up the sleeping giants, those people that don't give you problems in the society, you're inviting a spirit of vigilantism to come on the verge. That's why you have these movies of Spider-Man, Batman, Kato, and the Green Hornet, and all of these different vigilantes that go out and try to do what's right that the authorities are failing to do and carry out. So it's going to be done one way or the other, whether these people are religious or not, whether they're jihadists, these extremists. They're going to think that they are sent by God. Some people are going to think they're just sent just to correct the evils, because when you step off and you begin to start killing species and doing things that are anti-life, you bring a lot of reprisals against yourself, against the nation. You bring a lot of unrest against people who are already trying to do right. And this is what I'm trying to tell America and the West and certain factions in the African continent. You will reap what you sow. You cannot go on doing this. So turning the laws around where the people who are doing right are now, you're accusing them of being wrong, because you can't stand up to the ones that do wrong. You can't stand up to the wicked underworld. So you decide to join them against those who do not give you problems. But you're going to have problems from both sides now, because some people are just not going to take this land down. So it says the wisdom of God is wiser. The foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom. He uses the weak things of the world to confound the mighty, and he uses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. It says that right in 1 Corinthians 1, chapter 1, verse 27. It says he uses the weak men. You got guys that are like Pharaoh, all this power. And you got some little herdsman like Moses coming on the scene to tell him to let the people go. And God uses the weak to address the mighty, to let you know that when the wheels turn against the mighty, and you see a weak person performing that, what you would consider weak, it confounds you, because you can't understand where he gets his power from or where he gets his wisdom. He uses weak to take down the mighty. He uses foolish to confound the wise. Can't you see that in the history of this type of God, that he does not use a lot of times might against might? He takes the weakest things to turn over the guy with the biggest amount of power, just to let you know he's in control. God is in control. So you're not going to get away with all of this stuff. You're gonna perish in it. You know what's interesting also? When I read through these scriptures, I begin to become more of a believer, more of a person that understands it as I get older. And I'm glad it's that way. But I also read where there were some times that people would come, like Sodom and Gomorrah. And he said that he went through that land and was going to destroy it, and told the people who were doing right by him to move out of the way. And one of the Abraham said, if I find 50 that are not doing that wickedness, then will you spare the city? And he said, you're wasting your time, but go ahead. And even when he couldn't find 50, he said, maybe I can find 40. And it went all the way down, I believe, to 10. And if anything, one person he could not find. He said, those that do wicked. He was talking about the sodomizers. He was talking about those that are wicked. If you can find somebody that's not doing these things, not necessarily a child of God, just not doing it, that's not caught up in it, I'll spare the place. But he knew Abraham wasn't going to find anything. That's why he made his mind up. But he let him do it. He let him go and try to find somebody. Then he told Abraham's nephew Lot to get on out the way. Get on out the way. Because this is not what I created man to do. And man's going to do this under my watch, under my heaven. I give him so much time to change. And if he doesn't change, he moves in. And a thing that I find interesting in history, even in biblical history, and sometimes in current days, or even in Jesus's days, people seal their fate when they show their true colors about what they are not going to do, show the true conditions of their heart. When they show the true conditions of their heart, God can seal their fate, and send them to damnation. You remember that part in the Equalizer with Denzel Washington when he went to the mafia, the Russian mafia, and he told them, let me buy the girl. I think it was part one. He said, let me take the girl from you that they were using in prostitution. I'll give you $9,000 or $10,000 for this woman, or $8,000. And they didn't do it. And they had all this money. And they could have just handed her over and said, take her. But because of their greed and because of their hatred against fellow men, fellow women, and their possessiveness and orneriness and cruelty, they said, take the money and shove it. And I knew exactly, without even knowing the script of the movie, what Denzel was doing when he was opening and closing the door, thinking about going back in there when they put him out. And when he went up to them, I said, before Denzel said it, they should have took the money. You should have took the money. That's a very powerful statement in that movie, because he's saying, you're showing me that you are beyond redemption. You're beyond repair. You're beyond reproof. You're beyond correction. You're not trying to get out. You're trying to run an agenda. And you're trying to prove that you're God, because you make the decisions who lives, who dies, who serves as a slave, and who doesn't. Oh, you almighty. And then that's when Denzel said you should have took the money, and the whole place was wiped out. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah. You should have at least had one person that was doing right. You should have had 10. And where they really sealed their fate is when they tried to commit sin against the angels that were there, saying, the Lot even said, here's my virgin daughters that never known man. Take them, do as you please. And they said, no, we want them fine angels. We want those men. See, you should have took the virgins. Even though I don't like that part of the story, I would give them my daughters for no scoundrel. But it was there to prove a point how bad they were. Now you say, Brother Soldier, you sound like you preaching to me. Well, maybe I am. I don't care to be no preacher, but maybe I am. Because I'm trying to say that there is a God and there is a creator, and that is the reason why there's morality. And because there's morality, there's order. And when you go against that order, no matter whether it seems right to you or not, you're going to be like those goats that are separated from the sheep. They all look the same, but they have different characteristics. That's why he said he's going to put the goats on the left and the sheep on the right. And he's going to say, depart in everlasting torment to the goats. Even though the goats cast out devils in his name, healed sick people, he said he did not know them because their behavior. And you remember that story when they asked Jesus to be crucified, and then I believe it was Pilate that said, I see no fault in this man. I see no fault in him. I absolutely, and he's a chief of justice, or whatever you would call it, of the law. And he said, I will give you Barabbas. You know he's killed people. You know he's trifling. And the people said, away with Christ, give us Barabbas. They sealed their fate. You should have took Christ and let Barabbas go. Now, my message to you, America, you should have listened to the people who were right. And you sealing your fate. I'm out of time. God bless you.